Hi, my name's James. Unfortunately, Dave can't make it this week as he's ill, so I've had to step in again and you're sadly stuck with me. But welcome to another episode of Wildlife Weekly. Massive numbers of wetland birds on site again this week, huge flocks of wading birds and wildfowl, and loads of interaction between them. Really have had a great week observing the birds on the reserve. Well, a real highlight for me this week has been the common cranes. We now have 2 males and 4 females, and this has provoked some really fascinating behaviour from the birds. Certainly this morning seen some amazing courtship displays going on with rival pairs, and certainly the female seems to be attracted to one of the males, and him not so. He keeps driving her away, and we've seen battles with 2 females. Unfortunately not able to film it, but even saw one female stamping on top of another female. But just incredible to see these birds out there displaying this sort of intense rivalry, and of course the sound, the call of a crane, hearing that on our reserve and seeing these birds amongst the spectacle is just incredible. A quality wetland covered in thousands of birds and a successful reintroduction programme, all viewed from a comfortable hide. This is what WWT's all about. And this behaviour was really fascinating to observe this week. This female was sitting down in the grass, keeping really low, and when the other cranes approached, she would suddenly spring up and jump into action of a very territorial threat display. And apparently this is something to be taken very seriously by the other cranes, and just fantastic to see. There's 2 cranes flying by. That's unreal. Not even making that up. Sorry about that. Interrupted by cranes flying by whilst we're filming. Couldn't have scripted it. Unusual weather this Saturday. A storm passed through in the afternoon, only lasting about half an hour. But very strong winds, 50 miles an hour, did knock a couple of trees down around the reserve. And also saw the lakes go from flat water with ducks resting quite happily. Suddenly they were surfing away on 2-foot waves, and quite surprised by the whole event. One of our commentated afternoon feeds is a great place to observe behaviour of the birds. You can join either myself or my colleagues and come in and watch the feed and actually observe the birds really close and see some really interesting interaction going on between them. And this weekend for the Festival of Birds, you can join myself or my colleagues and a whole team of volunteers as we'll be in the hides to point out all the different birds on show as well as the behaviour going on in front of us. So do come along if you're about and say hello, and we'll be very happy to chat with you and point out all the different birds. Bit of an ongoing theme this week with interaction and behaviour of birds. And one great example of that was these 2 black-headed gulls, which I noticed following a tufted duck. And this feeding tufted duck, every time it popped up to the surface, the 2 black-headed gulls would race over to where it was eating and try and get little bits of whatever it was feeding on. But whatever it was, the opportunistic gulls were seeing this and getting in there and also benefiting from it too. So that sort of behaviour is really good to see. This week, I've seen lots of things that I haven't seen before, particularly the cranes and the black-headed gull behaviour. And that's something you can do. You can go out to your local area and look at birds. And you don't have to look just for different species, but what they're doing, why they're behaving in a certain way, and really try and work it out for yourself. What are the birds feeding on? Why are they flying to a certain area? Exactly what they are doing. And from this, absorbing actually what they're doing, we can learn so much more about the birds. Well, looking ahead for the next week, we've got a really interesting mix of weather. We've got a bit of everything, a little bit of cold air coming in, a bit of warm air, and a bit of wet weather. And all of these conditions will only enhance the big spectacle of birds that we have here, and will make for a perfect weekend to come and see them all at our Festival of Birds. If you've enjoyed this video, share it with your friends and followers on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and see our website for further details. Crane!